Andres today. Today we're jumping into Ted Bundy. This is Conversations with a Killer, the Ted Bundy tapes. You guys have voted. You guys then voted again. And this is the show that you wanted for our new true crime content. Have no fear, Andres is here. We will be getting back into the John Wayne Gacy, so the next time you see a true crime kind of documentary type, whatever this is called, is this considered, documentary, hair flip, I did it once again. It will be John Wayne Gacy, then we'll go back to Ted Bundy, then we'll do John Wayne Gacy, and then we'll be done with John Wayne Gacy, and then we'll follow up with the Ted Bundy tapes, and then maybe to wrap it up, we'll see the movie. We'll talk about that at the last episode of this documentary show. There are people that I do know, like my friends, I should say. It's really my friends, which I mentioned about my YouTube channel, and I did mention about my true crime, and when we did have the conversation about, I don't know anything. I don't know nothing about Ted Bundy. Let's just get that off the rip right away. I do know he was a killer. I know he's a known killer, but I don't know what he did. So, nor was I interested before in investing my time to find out, because I always was terrified of killers, as I told you guys with the Dahmer stuff that we got into, which made me start the true crime content here on this platform, because I love all y'all. I love y'all. And it's also very interesting. But like I said, I don't know much about this person. I just know of his name, and he's known. And I'm assuming he's dead. But yes, I was gonna say something. Yes, the movie. Back to the movie, Andres. So my friend said that the Ted Bundy movie, I'm not sure if it's the movie that somebody else mentioned here on the channel, but my friend said they hated it. They said that they painted it out to be like a love story, and that's just not what he is. And they did not particularly like, two of my friends, they did not like that version of Ted Bundy, or that depiction, I should say, of that person. So I don't know if that is true or false, but I just know that they weren't a fan. So I don't know if a lot of people are fans of that movie, and you guys do know, or movie. If I do a Ted Bundy movie to wrap it all up, it would be something that you all are really wanting to see, and I would have to dedicate a whole day to that movie, because movies take me double the amount as TV shows. But I am willing, if you guys are willing to watch it. Regardless, we're going to jump into this right away, guys. So just so you guys know, because this is the first episode of a new show here on the YouTube channel, it's going to be a full reaction for all 3 tiers here on the YouTube channel, as well as my other platform, Patreon. So guys, please sign up to one of those platforms and help support the channel today. Now I'm a reactor. It's time to react to things. With that being said, let's jump into Ted Bundy tapes and find out exactly what this documentary has got to give. Ooh, I like that.
I had no idea what I was doing. And I had no idea who I was dealing with. So I went into the prison with my tape recorder.
Police say he was armed with a heavy oak log. He clubbed and then strangled to death 20-year-old Lisa Lee.
Insisted that he was innocent.
I considered him a friend, and he was a very nice person.
I felt a connection with him, a feeling of wanting to be loved.
Son is the best son in the world. He was a very normal, active boy.
This man on the FBI's 10 most wanted list has been captured in Florida.
Suspected of dozens of sex killings.
The discovery of the skeletal remains of 6 women.
More than 20 young women in 5 states.
Mutilation, necrophilia.
Sexually mutilated.
By mouth, by teeth.
Bite marks.
You had sex with them after they were dead.
Why did you do it?
It's quite a mystery.
So he looked at me and grabbed my tape recorder.
My name is Ted Bundy. I am looking for an opportunity to tell the story as best I can.
I'm not an animal, I'm not crazy, I'm a good personality. Typical normal individual.
The 70s. An angry era. Inflation. Vietnam.
Crimes are up 130% in the last 10 years. Murder up 62%.
Phenomenon of serial murder was brand new and absolutely frightening.
Manson and 3 girl members of his so-called family were found guilty of murder.
Son of Sam. The past year, the killer has killed 5 people.
Gacy admitted killing the young men after having sex with them.
Nobody unnerved them more than did Ted.
Bundy is on the FBI's top 10 most wanted list.
Ted stands out because he was quite an enigma, very intelligent, just a handsome, young, mild-mannered law student. He didn't look like anybody's notion of somebody who would tear apart young girls.
1980. I wasn't born yet.
Ted and I first met face-to-face on death row. Ted Bundy, famous serial killer, had sent a message out that he was willing to speak change for a re-examination of all the cases against him, that he had been set up, that it was a hell of a story. If it wasn't the truth, then it was also a hell of a story. I think Ted regarded me as somebody to be manipulated or used in his cause. My old mentor, Hugh Ainsworth, for whom I had worked at Newsweek.
It just seemed like a good story either way it went. We're trying all over the world to get with Bundy.
He took off for the West Coast to reinvestigate the cases, and I went to Florida with my tape recorder. Can't tell you how nervous I was walking into that prison the first time. Then Ted was brought in. The mystery, the aura of the most infamous accused mass killer in the country. There was nothing besides his belly chain and his death row clothes. A guy in his early 30s who was there talking over a business deal. Recorded between 75 and 80 tapes, roughly 100 hours of recorded conversation.
Tested 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm getting a red light. Blink, blink, blink. Record.
You may have a serious weakness.
Oh, sure, go right ahead. It only cause mild forms of cancer.
Both born in Burlington, Vermont, and had moved with our mothers to Tacoma, Washington.
1951.
Our house is on Sheridan Street, Tacoma.
We were not friends, but we actually knew some people in common.
Both went to football practice and the play field across in the tavern.
Very cautious with me, businesslike. Understood from that meeting that I was there to take down Ted's story.
To give others a chance to know what was really going on, what it was really like for me.
Oh, goodness.
Linda Ann Healy, a 21-year-old University of Washington student, disappeared from her Seattle apartment.
Last seen here Thursday evening about 12 o'clock.
Linda was the weather person and the ski report person for a local radio station.
According to her roommate, her alarm went off on time Friday morning. Her roommate says Linda wasn't in her room and she never showed up for work.
Was a person that you relied on 5 days a week.
She came in at about 11:30 into my room and spoke with me then. A happy mood, and then she said she was going to bed, and that was about 12.
Proceeded to tell the public that Linda was gone. There was a crime scene search at that point.
Ooh. There's no signs of foul play in the room except some blood in the pillow. The only curious thing there is Linda's bed was made up neatly.
The appearance of Linda Healy was certainly unique for the Seattle area. I'd never seen a crime committed before. I got my start.
Very few leads in the disappearance of Linda Healy. I've interviewed 65 people.
Its first victim was supposed by most people to be Linda Ann Healy. He wanted to talk about the murders.
I think we've got to try to think in a more narrative kind of way about the crime.
This reaction is that I don't think I can.
Said that he was going to cooperate with us and tell us important things that would help prove that he was innocent. What he really had in mind was a celebrity bio.
I remember those days of roaming with my friends.
Ted had an idealized version of his boyhood.
Champion frog catcher. I was a frog man.
My brother was 2 years older, and he and Ted were the same age. Had that whole wooded area to play in.
I never liked playmates in those days.
A distinct difference between the haves and have-not. Ted's family were in the have-not group. His mom worked as a secretary. Mr. Bundy was a really good dad. They were involved in Cub Scouts and Brownies and Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts. He was just different. He just didn't fit in. Didn't tie the knots right, couldn't shoot the gun right, and he had a temper. He liked to scare people. He built a big pit in the ground and put sharpened stakes down in it. And one little girl went over the top of one of Ted's tiger traps. The whole side of her leg slit open. Going to be president. He was going to show the world that Ted was the one to be dealt with.
I was one of the boys.
He tried to fool you and lie to you.
People perceived me as being shy and introverted. I didn't go to dances. I didn't go on the beer drinking outings.
Nobody really got to be close to Ted.
It wasn't that I disliked women or afraid of them. It's just that I didn't seem to have an inkling as to what to do about it.
He just didn't seem to be all there, all present.
I would agree, sis.
Yes, his father beat him when he was a boy. We could see it when he was a kid.
That's bullshit.
Oh?
Would lead one to believe that I was capable of committing murder.
In June of 1974, another young woman went missing very close to where Linda Ann Healy had been abducted.
She had been visiting at the Beta House and was returning to her house just a half block away down this alley. And then somewhere she disappeared.
She was really close to all of us, and anything she was going to do, she always told us.
It's unreal, and it's a nightmare, and nothing in anybody's manual would. Mostly they're frightened, and I sense a good deal of anger.
There's no physical evidence except that the two girls were very similar type girls. They're very dependable. They told people where they were going and when they were coming back.
Asking the girls to stay out of the alleys and travel in groups of 2s or 3s.
Might be an interesting one to discuss. What do you think?
Hawkins' case, from what I know about it, is unusual.
Started trying to push him into more substantive areas, and he just kept bobbing and weaving. He told me that when he graduated from high school, he went to the University of Washington.
I compensated a lot for what I consider to be my more vulnerable aspects, arrogant and intellectual, but nice and tolerant and that kind of stuff.
The relationship I had with Diane had a lasting impact on me. For a first-time girlfriend, really, that was not too bad. Making out in the car, mumbled sweet nothings into each other's ears, and she inspired me to look at myself and to become something more.
He was a straightforward, clean-cut, foursquare, Richard Nixon Republican.
4 years ago, crime was rising all over America.
I'd always been anti-union, anti-boycott.
The anti-war movement and the liberal agenda offended him.
Delinquents who like to feel that they were immune to the law.
That sounds like a lot of people nowadays.
When I first met Ted, he was doing work for the state Republican Party. He got a job working for Republican Governor Dan Evans' campaign. And Ted volunteered. He was the kind of guy you'd want your sister to marry.
I don't think so.
Politicians are all about image. Perfect for him, because he doesn't have to be real.
My natural talent in politics and also my assertiveness.
We would go to functions where there'd be some very influential people there.
Except that there, you went out to dinner with people. They invited you to dinner. This is where they were. A life that had been missing for late in Wawa.
Their side, a Democrat running against Governor Evans. Down what Rosalini said to use and against him.
For the Republican gubernatorial candidate was accused of political spying.
Embarrassed that I should be getting this publicity from it. Really embarrassed.
He had aspirations to be affluent and recognized and looked up to. And Ted wanted to be in the upper class. I was like the big brother, the older brother, and we had the same interests.
When I met Marlon, I was attracted to him because his wife cooked good sushi.
Ted liked my Volkswagen.
Always the sushi.
Wanted a Volkswagen just like mine. Got one just like mine, I guess, same color and everything. Just going to law school, and Ted decided he was going to go off to law school too.
LSATs came back and he was mediocre. They weren't very good at all. So he was not going to get into a great law school.
I felt like I'd failed not only myself, but even my teachers and instructors at the university. Absolutely out of control of my life.
His relationship with Diane falls apart. She was frankly more woman than he could handle.
When I felt that she expected a great deal more from me than I was really capable of giving. I think I was coming apart at the seams. Maybe she saw it, maybe didn't understand. Summer, Diane and I corresponded less and less. And then Diane stopped writing. Overwhelming feeling of rejection that stemmed not just her, but everything. In there somewhere was a desire to have some sort of revenge on Diane. I don't know what the hell I did.
The county area was engulfed in a wave of fear as young women vanished with alarming regularity.
Read that 4 other women had also disappeared from other jurisdictions.
6 unsolved disappearances here in less than 6 months.
Brown hair, very similar in her face, kind of look like
When the
Diane.
series, I was a reporter for KJR Radio, and the desperation in Seattle was crazy.
There were a bunch of young women missing in the Seattle area.
Pretty sure that there was probably foul play some way or another. There's a good possibility that this could happen again.
Just want to caution the young women of our community to be overly cautious at this time.
The victim pool was kind of like me, careful about meeting strangers and dating and who they were dating and so forth.
All the material that was coming out of the Seattle Police Department was we don't know.
Information is coming in, but it isn't anything that we can really go on right now.
Worked very hard at trying to locate her. Didn't find out any information from anybody that knew anything. The term serial killer was not anywhere on anybody's register in 1970s. Didn't know what was going on at all.
I have this connection with law enforcement there, and I work for the Seattle Crime Commission.
Gave him access to a lot of crime statistics.
The discovery I made was that they had well-intentioned people, but they just didn't know what they should do.
I would call a police department and say, how many girls are you missing? We have one missing here, and I said, how many are missing in Seattle? I don't know. One day I walked into his office, and up on the chalkboard he had the names of 8 or 10 young women. In between each of the names he had the numbers 23, 23, 36. Oh, what's that all about? And he said, that's the number of days between the disappearances. They had no hard evidence, no descriptions of potential suspects.
I was out in the Northwest reinvestigating all the murders with the local police, what witnesses there were to the crimes.
My daughter was missing because she hadn't come home. She was a straight-A student. Things don't happen to you. They happen to everybody else in New York City. They didn't happen in Ellensburg, Washington.
Some of these families never found their daughters. What had happened to some of these girls, it was horrible.
Ritual of selecting women as victims of brutal crime is not entirely clear to me. I've always preferred women. I think men enjoy them.
He met a woman named Liz in a bar, and she fell madly in love with him.
I loved her so much. It was destabilizing.
She had a daughter, and they formed this kind of little family for a while. They had issues.
I felt such a strong love for him, had a lot of interests in common. Not being able to make my genuine feelings for her come out, where I really fail would be not opening up my whole life to her. Maybe I was just trying to preserve the Ted Bundy devil-may-care attractive bachelor image. I used to agonize about losing her. I did a lot of dumb things.
There were thousands of people at the park. There were all kinds of events going on. 2 women, Denise Naslin and Janice Ott, disappeared from Lake Sammamish Park.
The boss called and said, get over to Lake Sammamish. I went over and began interviewing people from there.
So far, we've gotten a few good leads, particularly on Janice Ott.
8 women who were missing in and around Seattle. We set up a task force. Kathy McChesney was selected to come in.
The first indications that a male subject was involved. All of them had been asked by a good-looking young man wearing an arm cast to help load his sailboat on the car. Witnesses provided information for a police sketch and recalled the man with the cast.
When this same suspect, with his arm in a sling, approached Denise Naslin willingly to go help him, and then she was never seen again.
Saw that her boyfriend came up pulling in her car. And I knew right then there was something wrong. What were her thoughts? How long did she suffer? And those thoughts are with me all the time.
Witnesses told us that the suspect was seen to be driving a light brown or a tan Volkswagen.
Was wheeling along her 10-speed yellow Tiger bike. She said, "Hi, I'm Jan." And he said, "Hi, I'm Ted."
I was getting frustrated. He didn't want to talk about the murders.
Be reassured that you and I are going ahead in good faith, I guess.
Well, I don't want to talk about that right now. Yeah, I mean, talk about fiction. That's what history is. Historians, for one reason or another, well-intentioned or not, are creating things that satisfies their own preconception of what they think of history should have been.
I had this epiphany one night while I was drinking scotch and eating cheeseburgers in the Holiday Inn bar. Get him to talk about himself in the third person.
Stephen came up with the idea to get him talking in the third person. He called me, and I'm out there on a pay phone outside the motel talking to Stephen. And I was freezing. I thought it was a great idea. We didn't know whether it would work.
Now, we're not getting anywhere, but I have an idea. You've got a degree in psychology, so you're trained in psychology. You certainly know what's been in the newspapers. You're intelligent and you're articulate. To turn you into an expert witness, why don't you tell me what you think happened?
It's not an easy question, but I think we can speculate.
He grabbed my tape recorder, cradled it, and started talking into it as if I wasn't even in the room. He's talking about how do you describe what's in a river as it flows to the sea.
Where did it come from? To trace it back. Okay, and this is why what we're dealing with here, we're talking about into the spring and the combination of other forces perhaps. And now talking about the development of behavior. They given birth, what are they the result of? And it's difficult.
It's like I had unlocked an avenue for him to finally tell this story.
Perhaps this person hoped that through violence, through this violent series of acts fulfilled, would also leave him with the obviously irrational belief. And the next time he did it would be fulfilled. Or the next time he did it would be fulfilled.
Well, ooh-wee. So, I have to be honest. So, I actually like one of my really main reasons of being a reactor is when I edit stuff, I can see exactly at the point where I actually start getting anxiety attacks. I'm talking about, I still kind of have it. Listening to this type of content, like blasting in my ear, and like then paying really close attention to it causes me to have anxiety attack on and off sometimes. This guy was so creepy. I got the chills earlier within the reaction, and then after those chills, it just gradually got downhill. I started getting anxiety. I had to get water during the reaction. Anytime you see me generally drinking, not all the time, but stuff like this, if I'm drinking tons of water, I'm having an anxiety attack. But I push through, honey, and I pound some water down. Because this guy is just really creepy, and I hate this chair. It's always squeaking. Ugh, it is really expensive. Trash. But anyways, back, because, you know, ADD is real, and I got it. So anyways, this guy, I don't know, y'all. He's a little, because I don't know anything about Ted Bundy and what he did. I know it might be a shocker to some. It's very fascinating to like listen to him and to see him. I'm kind of tired of everybody saying like these people are attractive, and then I look at them and I'm like, where do you see that? He has the only unibrow. That unibrow is so thick. But maybe like that was a thing back in the day. And you know what? I can't say, listen. What's the saying? Beauty is the eye of the beholder, right? So people found him attractive. Hey. So because they kept reiterating that he's a very handsome man. We heard that. I probably heard that probably like 10 times in just this one episode, and we have 3 more episodes to go. And I bet you money they're gonna say it again. So somewhere, somehow, someplace, somebody thinks he's attractive. And I think they said that with, I don't know if they said about John Wayne Gacy. Maybe they did. I don't know. Yes, I think they did. And they also said it about Dahmer. I still can't say that man's name. So that's fascinating. But he is very intelligent. He uses very big words. And then as soon as they said he studied psychology, I was like, oh, so now it all makes sense. That's why he does what he did, whatever he did. It seemed like what happened is, I'm already forgetting. Did he start killing before the first lady? Because I think it was after that lady, right? The first lady that he was in love with, Diane. No, I forgot her name. the first lady he fell in love with, that's when he started killing. And every single woman we've seen all looks alike, all has the same facial features, all with the long brown hair. And he just went on a killing spree. That's really crazy. And I'm kind of curious. Well, I heard little glimpses that he raped them, he beat them, he had sex with them after they were dead. Seems to be a thing with these serial killers. He does show a little bit of split personality, because you kind of heard a difference between him in the beginning of the show, where he didn't really want to talk about the murders, and then when the guy came up with the idea of doing it in third person, you heard him just switch up. I was like, am I listening to the same person? What's going on? But yeah, regardless, he still gave me creepy crawlers and gave me anxiety attack. Wow. But this was a very good episode, very deep already. I'm excited to, I don't know if excited is the word. You know, I don't know much about Charles Manson either. I know he's a killer, and I know that he had like 3 ladies with him. I highly doubt that he has tapes. But that's also another person that I really want to get, because Ted Bundy and Charles Manson are like 2 people that I've always, and you still to this day hear about. But because I never dived into these people. And Charles Manson, I think the first time I heard about Charles, not the first time, but the first time I kind of got the glimpse of him was on American Horror Story. Is that what it's called? They had an episode, or maybe it was a season, where it was kind of like sort of the adaptation of Charles Manson, but it was like somebody else who like fascinated Charles Manson and did what he did, and had like a cult or something. So that's kind of how I knew more about Charles Manson. Ted Bundy, as I said, I'm going in this super blind, not knowing exactly what this man did. I just know his name. I don't like to call them like famous serial killers, because that just sounds awkward to me when I say it out loud. So I kind of just say, yeah, I know he's a known person. A known monster, but it's interesting to see that even back then they had all these recordings and they're interviewing them and trying to get to figure out what's going on. And you see John Wayne Gacy was mentioned into this too. So it just seems in the 70s, as they said in this show, that everybody was just killing everybody. I mean, everybody was going through it, honey. And now I feel like we're reverting back to that. We don't really, we don't know. You don't really hear about serial killers nowadays, really. Like, not as often, but back in the 70s, it seems like they had a whole long list. They were going through all these people. I was like, well, I need to Google them, because then we have to get into these content, so we can all look them up and see what they have out. This is crazy. So side note, I did the poll about doing which Ted Bundy we should do, or maybe I said which true crime that we should do, because this is my true crime sector, and the poll, and there was one, I don't know if they're a subscriber or not, I've never seen them before, but shout out to them. They said, how about none of these? Let's talk about love. I saw that and I smiled, and I was like, aw, that was cute. So to that subscriber, if you're not a subscriber, I don't know why not, but to that person who commented on that poll on true crime, here's a hug to you. Come in closer. Yes, love you, girl. Thank you for commenting. Who took the poll? But regardless, this is wrapping up this one. The next true crime, we're gonna just go back to John Wayne Gacy to get back into that Peacock one to wrap up John Wayne Gacy. I already started it. We only have 2 episodes to go. So to those that are not interested in that, I'm sorry. To those that are interested into me wrapping that up, get ready. It's next. With that being said, if you've seen this reaction, realize that you are not subscribed, hit the subscribe button, so please like and share this content, because it does wonders for this channel. And I'll see you all next time on Andres El Rey.